Hi, Warner Chap. Good morning. It's about 7 o'clock in the morning on Sunday. Beautiful day here in PA. I wanted to do something a little bit different today. Today's called It's Easy But Hard. Okay, and what I mean by that is if I said to anybody listening, you should go for a walk in the morning, and you should eat something healthy. You should move. You should be a positive person. I think everybody would say, yeah, it makes a lot of sense, but it's hard. Yeah, it is. It's difficult. It's difficult to do the same things every single day when they're just challenging, because it's easier not to do them. It's actually easier to just stay in bed, right? Because you're already just laying there. So now you got to get up, got to get dressed, and got to get out of the house. So it's so much simpler to not do that. It's simpler to just grab a donut or something unhealthy than it is to make a healthy breakfast. It's just easier, simple, for lots of reasons. In our society, it's easier to latch on to all the negative BS that's out there because, that's what people hear, that's what they see. It's much more difficult to say, hey, man, I'm listening to this guy, Craig, and he's talking about leading a positive life. It's so much more difficult because you got so much negative crap all around you that to hear what he's saying is like, okay, well, I hear that, but yeah, I also hear 100 of these things. And, I admit that it's not, even for me, it's not always easy because you're surrounded by all this stuff. But I'm going to give you a few, I guess, tips that I think are really important, and hopefully it'll resonate with you. You can take them with you. Number one is you got to start somewhere, and you can find thousands of people who say that, and I guess I'm just kind of repeating what they're saying, but it's true. You got to find, I guess, that one thing to start with. Like for me, I already told you that when I get up in the morning, I get out and I stretch. Every single day when I get out of bed, I do a 5 or 10 minute stretch. And, for me, I've done that for so many years. It's just part of my life. So I don't really even think about it anymore because it's just easy for me to do. And maybe for you, it'll be something different. I don't know. Maybe it's just waking up and just looking out the window and seeing a beautiful day, or just something. Maybe it's like if you have a pet, maybe it's just, petting your dog or something, or whatever you do. You got to find the one thing. And then once you find the one thing, you got to make sure the one thing's easy. It can't be just something impossible. If you've never gone to the gym, you can't say, I'm going to wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning and spend 2 hours at the gym. It's going to be really hard to do. So it's got to be something simple. And then once you find the one thing, it really has a tendency to kind of build into other things. Habits. We talk about that all the time, building those habits. So for me, I've done the same stretching routine, for so many years I don't think about it. And then you build something else, whatever it is. And again, for me, I usually have like an apple, banana, or yogurt or something. And of course, the food that we eat's huge. It's critical. It's not really anything surprising. But it's just got to be something that you're going to be doing. And some days, it is going to be, this is something that I really hope people get. Some days it is going to be hard, and some moments are going to be hard. And one thing about the channel, the YouTube channel, Cutting the Crap with Shep, that I really think is critical is my ultimate goal really is to try to be helpful, and I'm always honest with people. Like, to say that I don't want the channel to grow would be just, first would be stupid, and it'd be a lie. Of course, I want people to subscribe. I want people to join, and hopefully I monetize it at some point. But honestly, like, that's not the thing. Really, it's just about trying to make a positive difference in people's lives, because it's something been in the wellness field since I've been doing this, a lot of this stuff, since I've been a kid. It's been a long time. So it's about kind of spreading a positive message. But going back to what I said about sometimes it's just hard. Nobody wants to hear. People are kind of like, they gravitate towards something like that sounds, I always say it sounds sexy. Like, you see a bunch of people doing all these great things and you say, oh man, I could never do that. And it's just a negative way to think about it. First of all, you don't have to do what other people are doing. Like, I'm actually going for a walk right now, and I do promote walking, even though it's not my main source of fitness, it's something that is very, very, I mean, you can hear, well, yeah, hopefully you can hear the birds in the background. So it's something that's so great for your brain and your body. It gives you so many opportunities to kind of reflect, but that doesn't have to be your thing. It could be anything that's going to make your day better. And I encourage you to kind of like think of it that way. And sometimes, again, it's going to be hard. It's not always going to be easy. And if, I guess, if you have that moment, right, where you kind of have that weakness, you know, and you kind of say, oh, I'm not doing it today. One thing I will tell you that is critical is if I woke up in the morning, right, and I decided not to stretch that day, I've built that habit into my life that if I didn't do it on that day, it wouldn't stop me from doing it on other days. I'm going to say that again because it's really critical. When you build habits or things that change your life for the better, just because you don't necessarily do them each day or one day doesn't mean you should just stop doing them. You know, if you're spending the time building really positive habits, it's critical to kind of keep doing them. It's like I say, like I'm a healthy eater. But it doesn't mean that I've never had a cookie or a bowl of ice cream. I just don't do it very often, you know? And that's really important. Nobody says that you got to be perfect. You don't have to have every single freaking answer all of the time. It's so unrealistic. And that's kind of like you hear people, a lot of influencers talk about, you know, all the things that they do. And sometimes I feel it's just throwing crap out there. I mean, I could say a thousand things that I do, all the lifting I've done and teaching and all the other stuff. And obviously I like sharing those things, but I think it's important. It's not about necessarily what one person's doing. It's about what you're doing. You know, what are you doing to help yourself each day? And just because something doesn't work as planned, you know, oh man, I didn't have time to stretch today, or I was in a rush. I woke up late and I couldn't eat that healthy breakfast. So if that was you, like, so you didn't eat the healthy breakfast today because you were in a rush. But all the month before you did. Don't let the one moment kind of spoil everything else, which is something I think, you know, it's that message is spread so often, especially by like influencers out there, because nobody wants to see somebody at their worst, right? When's the last time you saw somebody at their worst moment? Especially somebody who's, you know, promoting themselves. You don't see people at their worst. You always are seeing them at their best. And, you know, I guess in a sense, I don't know if I'm different than that or not. I mean, I personally don't, I don't really care. Like, I'm going to put myself out there however it is, you know, and just try to make a message. But I guess what I would say is that doing things that seem easy, that make sense, eating healthy, getting enough rest, being a positive person, helping other people, getting exercise, you know, finding things you enjoy. They're so darn, they make so much sense. Like, nobody would say, oh man, I don't want to do that. Yeah, because they make sense to do, but actually putting them in place is really, it's not easy. It can be hard at times. Sometimes it's easy. Like if you have a beautiful day, like right now where I'm at, it's beautiful out. So it's not really that hard for me to get outside and walk in the morning because it's a beautiful day. But I can tell you right now, if it was like the middle of the winter time and it's 20 degrees outside, it's going to be a lot more difficult because it's going to be cold. I'm going to have to dress warmer. It's going to be dark. I mean, those things are going to be, it's going to be much more difficult, but they're not impossible. They're not impossible. They're still possible. They just become more challenging. And, you know, I would kind of embrace you taking on those challenges, but also realizing there's going to be missteps along the way and trying your best not to totally lose sight of that if possible, you know. So as I wrap up, my goal is kind of to make this like 10 minutes. So like 10 minutes to 10-minute tips or a 10-minute tip. So I guess my final part would be take the opportunity to do something positive today. Don't realize you don't have to be perfect. Help other people. Don't worry if something doesn't work. If Thanks again for all you do. I appreciate you. Subscribe. Talk to you soon.